Hey everybody. I just wanted to hop on here real quick and give a quick testimony of my dad. Maybe you already saw the video that I posted yesterday, last night, of him taking steps. That was the first time. They got him stood up one time, but they had not had him actually take steps. So it was just a real blessing to my heart to see my dad taking steps. And I was just so encouraged. This past week has been such a big encouragement for me, just to see his progress. Monday, I had talked with my mom, and it was hard just to see her. Sometimes it's just hard. It's just hard what she's also going through, and yet I know that she knows that the Lord is her strength, and she's encouraging me too. And sometimes we don't realize how much actually that the way that we go through a situation encourages other people. And I've heard from a few of you guys also as well, that what I've said has encouraged you. And I give all glory to the Lord, because He's the one who is the encourager. He's the one who's the hope. He's the one where my trust is, where my hope is. And I want it to be that every day, more and more and more, that He's the place where everything, where all my hope is, where I look to. He's the author and finisher of our faith. And if we're not looking to Him, then we will be looking into problems in the future, and with not a good outcome. So we need to have our eyes fixed on Him, and we need to trust Him when that trust needs to be built up. And He's going to build up our faith more and more and more. And I'm just so thankful to the Lord, and thankful for everything that He's doing. Not just in the progress that I see in my dad, but also the progress that I see and the growth that I see in me and my family, and things that He's just working and doing. And I'm just so thankful. He's a good God. He's such a good God, no matter what happens. And I even said to my mom, because you talk about these things, and even if my dad would go, we have to come to the place that we say, "Thy will be done, Lord. Thy will be done." And we're going to take everything that comes our way, knowing that God is the one who takes care of us and loves us and turns around things and situations in our life, and He will restore what the cankerworm has eaten, and He will bountifully bless us even though we go through hard times. In the valley of the shadow of death, He is with us. Even if we stumble, He is with us, and He encourages us, and He lifts us up, and He gives us water, and He pours in His Spirit, and He pours in restoration, He pours in healing, He pours in hope. And I had a vision the other day, just of Jesus dying on the cross, and God saying, "That's what I did for you in giving my Son, is I poured out healing, I poured out restoration, I poured out all these things." And He wants us to believe that work is finished, because Jesus said it's finished. And He did the work. He gave us everything. Now it's our job to walk in it. And He helps us. Of course He does, but it's not a constant begging and crying for Him to send a lightning bolt from heaven. It's our job to also take a stand and walk on that, what He's shown us, what He's already given, and putting on the breastplate of righteousness, and walking, with the sword of truth, and using the equipment and the tools that He's already given us, and stand firm. And I know there's times in people's lives where it's low and it's hard, and it's really, really, really just hard. And that's where we need to also confess one to another the things that we're going through, so that we can build each other up and edify one another. So I'm just very encouraged. And there are a few moments where it's just like, wow, it can be kind of hard. Or I saw, my dad in this video, and he was, it's my daddy, to see my daddy having to use, the wheelchair, and have the ladies trying to hold him up and support him. And to see him, it's strenuous for him to try to take a step to hold himself up. And there was a third video my sister sent me, and you could tell by the third video he was just exhausted. He was so tired, and I could see it in him. And to see that, it breaks my heart, because you don't want to see your dad that way. But if it breaks my heart, how much does it break God's heart to see that, that we suffer, and that we need healing, and we need we need to grasp onto that hope that he is, and that's what he wants us to do. And sometimes it's a real fight to hold on to that. And I can only imagine how hard it is for my dad to hold on and to keep fighting and to make sure he's flying his little plane. He told me yesterday that, he said, I'm flying my little, he asked Isabella. I mean, when I talked to him yesterday on the phone, it was like talking to my dad like normal. I was really surprised at how much better he sounded. And he had also slept better in the evening. My mom said they gave him some special medication so he could sleep, or I don't even know if it's medication. Gave him something and he slept better. And he was talking almost like normal. I mean, it was like a normal conversation. And I was so surprised and so uplifted to hear him just talk normally to us. And even Isabella said, Mom, he's talking normal. And he said to her, how's your little plane flying? And, and then I said, how's your plane flying, Dad? And he says, oh, I'm doing loops. So he's doing good. He's fighting. And he told me that the Lord gave him that verse, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's what God does. That's what Jesus does in those situations that are so hard. He is our strength and he is our hope. And that's the beauty of it. We can look to him and know that he's the author and finisher of our faith. I'm just so encouraged, and God is such a good God, and he wants us to trust in that and walk in it all the days of our lives. And he gives abundantly, and he pours in his spirit, and he lifts us up, and he strengthens us. And I was reading in Isaiah 40, and also, this is important, he had a CT scan of his head on Tuesday, and it's just interesting because the doctor said, they don't see much of a change from the scan from when he had first had the stroke, and it was a major stroke. They confirmed again it was very major, and they just said that they don't see much change on the CT scan. He still has a little bit of the rest of blood. There's a little blood rest in his brain. It's not bleeding anymore, but it's still there, and it can take up to a year for it to be gone. But I just thought, this is how God works. I wrote that in my post on Instagram or Facebook, and what you see on the screens and what you see on paper says not much change has happened, but what we're seeing with our eyes is the goodness of God and working in his life and working miracles. Is it's just God's nature to do these things. They're miracles for us, but they're not miracles for God. It's just his nature to give and to show us his ways, his wonders, and his glory, and his beauty, and everything that he is. And the more that we fix our eyes on that, the more we have that joy that is our strength, even in those situations that are so hard. The more that we focus on him, the more he pours in and shows us he is our strength. Really, when we're weak, he comes in and he supports and he uplifts, and he does all these things when we know we can't do it in our own strength. And that's the beauty of it. We don't have to push and try and make something happen. We just look to him. We look to him. We make a decision to look to him, and he leads us into that, and he just strengthens us. And the joy of the Lord is my strength. When he really is my joy fully and totally, then my strength is increased incredibly. And it's something that it's so hard to even imagine. My mind cannot imagine it and fathom it, but he is so good. And I was reading in Isaiah 40. God brought this to mind the other morning when I got up. It says, who has measured, in Isaiah 40:12, who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and marked off the heavens by the span, and calculated the dust of the earth by the measure, and weighted the mountains in a balance, and the hills in a pair of scales? Who has directed the Spirit of the Lord, or at his counsel has informed him? With whom did he consult, and who gave him understanding? And who taught him in the path of justice, and taught him knowledge, and informed him of the way of understanding? Behold, the nations are like a drop from a bucket, and are regarded as a speck of dust on the scales. Behold, he lifts up the islands like fine dust. Even Lebanon is not enough to burn, nor its beasts enough for a burnt offering. All the nations are as nothing before him. They are regarded by him as less than nothing and meaningless. To whom then will you liken God, or what likeness will you compare with him? As for the idol, a craftsman casts it. A goldsmith plates it with gold, and a silversmith fashions chains of silver. He who is too impoverished for such an offering selects a tree that does not rot. He seeks out for himself a skillful craftsman to prepare an idol that will not totter. Do you not know? Have you not heard? Has it not been declared to you from the beginning? Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is he who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretch out the heavens like a curtain and spread them out like a tent to dwell in. He it is who reduces rulers to nothing, who makes the judges of the earth meaningless. Scarcely have they been planted, scarcely have they been sown, scarcely has their stalk taken root in the earth. But he merely blows on them, and they wither, and the storm carries them away like stubble. To whom then will you liken me, that I would be his equal, says the Holy One? Lift up your eyes on high, and see who has created these stars, the one who leads forth their host by number. He calls them all by name. Because of the greatness of his might and the strength of his power, not one of them is missing. Why do you say, O Jacob, and assert, O Israel, my way is hidden from the Lord, and the justice due me escapes the notice of my God? Do you not know? Have you not heard that everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, does not become weary or tired? His understanding is inscrutable. It's just so encouraging. He gives strength to the weary, and to him who lacks might, he increases power. Though youths grow weary and tired, and vigorous young men stumble badly, yet those who wait for the Lord will gain new strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not get tired. They will walk and not become weary. So good. So I just encourage everybody to continue looking to the Lord in your situation, no matter what it is. And I thank you again so much for all your prayers and love for our family, for my dad, for all of us. I just thank you, and keep uplifting my mom too, so she can stay strong too, and encourage my dad to keep going. Bye.